Whoa, what the? Where am I?
Welcome to the Milwaukee N Southeastern layout, good sir. I see you're a fellow Mikado like me. Milwaukee Road, are ya?
Yeah, my name's Lawrence.
Pleasure to meet you, Lawrence. Before we go any further, I must ask, do you have DCC installed in you?
No, I don't.
Well, shit. That means you're going to have to get off the layout and go back in your box.
What, my box? Not again! No, I don't want to go back in the box. This is the third time. The joke is getting old.
You're getting an update.
An update? What do you mean?
Whoa, what? Huh? Whoa, I feel more detailed and advanced.
Welcome to the club, brother. Broadway Limited has made several amazing steam locomotives in HO scale, but in recent years they have slowly began entering the N scale market as well. They started by doing models of the Pennsylvania Railroad's M1s and T1s, but only this year did they finally come out with their first non-Pennsy steam model, the USRA Mikado, in both light and heavy variants. These locomotives were built by the United States Railroad Administration during World War I as a part of a standard line of freight steam locomotives, and hundreds were sold to various railroads across the country, a list which includes Baltimore and Ohio, Grand Trunk Western, Louisville, Nashville, New York Central, Union Pacific, and many others. In this review, I, along with EJ here, will be looking at not one, but two road names offered from the Broadway Limited imports, the Milwaukee Road and the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy variants. As always, Broadway Limited Imports loves to focus on detail, and with detail comes very nimble handling. The locomotives are packaged very securely, almost impossible for them to fall out of the box even with the lid off. However, they're also just as tricky to get out and place back in. Make sure you keep the plastic sheet to make this easier, and lower the risk of damaging the details. But as long as you know what you're doing, it should be no problem for you.
The USRA Mikados owned by the Milwaukee Road were classified as L3s, and the ones owned by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy were classified as O4s. Now, because Broadway Limited's goal was to mass produce these locomotives for the market, more road-specific detailing is not apparent here. These models were modeled off the first prototype and sold in different road variants. However, I do appreciate Broadway taking the time to add the appropriate builder's plates, since the USRAs came from both Baldwin and Alco. Despite being the same locomotive, many railroads customized them and were unique in their own way, including different smoke boxes, drive wheels, bell, and dynamo placement. Even the type of fuel varied. Some variants and numbers aren't even true to the road prototype. If you're a die-hard modeler or even a rivet counter, it's up to you to decide if you want to alter the overall appearance of the model to make it more true to the prototype. Be mindful to check your valve gear motion. On my Mikado it was perfect. On Harry's, well, his fireman's side's valve gear motion is that of indirect wall shirts with the eccentric crank a whole 90 degrees opposite. Harry, you better fix that.
Come on.
On its own, the Mikados are semi-decent pullers with good traction tires. They can haul up to 20 cars on a 4% grade before they start to slip. Lash up 2 of them and they can haul 50 or more. They're worm gear driven with very quiet motors offering a smooth start and stop. Their voltages and torque settings can also be altered so the possibilities are endless. However, I wish the engine's pulling capacity was slightly higher, especially for what it was designed to do. With them being lightweight engines, you have a loss of traction. Also, there are times, particularly with lighter loads, where the engine will have a tendency to jerk, and if you don't check your couplers, you'll lose your train.
The recommended retail price for the USRA N-scale Mikado is $330, but I only paid $230 for mine off of modeltrainstuff.com. For a Broadway limited steam locomotive, that isn't half bad, especially when you consider all the nice features that you get out of it. It's cheaper than most of the HO counterparts, but that's also because it doesn't have as much pristine detail or smoke unit. However, this is to be expected in an N-scale model. It's still very robust, and the price is perfectly reasonable. My score for the BLI N-scale Mikado is a 9.5 out of 10.
I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Which goes to show how much more optimistic I am than this boy.
You asked for my opinion, Harry, and I think the easiest flaws could have been fixed.
Well, sure, this model has its flaws, but it's a spectacular model, and I highly recommend it for any N-scale model railroader who is looking for a good steam locomotive. But get the CB&Q version, not the Milwaukee Road one.
Go to the moon, Harry.